Hey folks, before we begin the video, do check out MasakoX.com with some brand new merch, including this really awesome Raditz hoodie. And oh yeah, this cool 1950s style Freeza. Oh yeah, and you'll also get a personal shout out video with every order. Cheers! Hey folks, MasakoX here. Next Friday, we'll see the beginning of, in my own personal opinion, the second act beginning of the Granolah saga. And if you wish to check out Haverock and I's review of the first act, that's chapters 67 through 77, you can subscribe to our podcast channel, where we discuss what we liked and didn't like about that whole act, as well as our detailed chapter summaries and reviews of past chapters, so go and check it out. But right here, I'd like to give you my thoughts about what we could expect about the next chapter, chapter 78. And I can assure you, I won't be pulling ideas from any drafts, leaks, or spoilers. All of this is off of the back of my own bonds, as well as what we've already seen. However, before we start that, let's go over last month's predictions and see if they hold up. And as per my rules for this challenge, I get to carry over one prediction to this month, but I can't use it again, so I've got to be careful. My first prediction, one I carried over from chapter 76's predictions, was that the Heeters would use the Dragon Balls. I would reckon that this is technically a yes, since they are using the Dragon Balls in their plan, and the radar as well, to then go and activate them later. You see, it's all about the wording. I didn't say they would summon Toronbo, just that they would be actively involving the orbs in whatever they're doing. Then there was the chestnut about Goku finding out about Bardock properly for the first time. Whilst that was quite a safe guess, it did indeed prove to be correct. 2 for 2. It gets better. In that revelation for Goku, we also found out that Bardock actively supported Muesli, Granolah and Monaito in assuring their safety and escape to the forest. Another correct guess. It would have worked had Granolah kept his mouth shut. Oh well. I bet he's feeling kinda Loric about this right now, right? Then the next one is Granolah and the Saiyans calling time on their feud. This one's sorta half right. He has definitely started to listen to people, to what's going on, starting to calm down finally, hearing the Saiyans out for it seems like an eternity since he last did, so he has certainly backed off a little, so I guess that's a half point. And finally, Vegeta has an emotional crisis of some sort. No. He didn't seem to be all that upset about all of these new findings, and wrongly assumed that Goku's kindness came from Bardock solely. No, Vegeta, you're talking out your butt. In the end, I scored a pretty impressive 3.5 out of 5 for chapter 77. Alright, cool. Although actually, that's not cool, since that makes the chapter predictable sorta, so I guess that's bittersweet. Anyway, I get to carry over one prediction, so that is Granolah and the Saiyans formally call time on their feud. So this one carries over simply for the fact that it will be quite obvious. I know, it's cheap of me to stick with this one, but it's important going forward into the second act of this manga arc. If Granolah were to not go along with the plan now, well, there wouldn't be a story. He would either ice the Saiyans out of his plan, big mistake for a Dragon Ball story, matey, or he would just blow up the planet like he was gonna do in chapter 76, and everyone on it. Then there definitely wouldn't be no more story, since the Heeters would be taken out as well. And besides, we know that in Super, Goku and Vegeta make it out okay, since there's an upcoming movie with them in, and End of Z to show. Funny story about that saga, by the way. You can check out my video up top about that. In any case, it would make logical sense to have Granolah join forces with Goku and Vegeta, since they are not the people they should be focusing on his ire and power toward. It should be the Heeters now, and especially Elec, since he was the one that took out his mother and instigated the Saiyan attack on the planet. Essentially, Elec wanted planet Cereal to barter with, and so therefore commissioned the Saiyans to strike, clearing it out for the Shigarians. Man, if those cute little imps ever found out about that, I bet they feel really bad about it, but yeah. Our Saiyans are no longer the focus of the bounty hunters' anger, so they must now act together to come up with a plan to stop the Heeters. It's clear though that, at the moment, Freeza is not the main villain in this saga. It's actually kind of doubtful whether he's even going to show up at all at this point. Has he noped out of this saga as well? Number 2. Aurel and Maki will begin to have doubts about their brother. Now, this one is something that Haverock and I think will ultimately happen down the line. Aurel and Maki, the two most well-adjusted members of the Heeters, the ones who are least crazy. They will break away from their elder brother once it becomes very clear to them that he is basically insane and uncaring about their own family and brother Gas, using him and them as some kind of playthings in his own schemes instead of being flesh and blood, you know, family. Seriously, Vin Diesel would be very disappointed in you, Alec. That won't come to a head just yet though, but I think we'll start to see the limitations of theirs being tested in the next chapter. It will have something to do with the wish, I bet, and the aftermath of it. Not going into specifics just yet, since this is purely conjecture, we don't know enough, but either one of these Heeters will start to question the necessity of going so far with Gas, with maybe in response, Gas willingly accepting the power to correct his mistake, more on that coming up shortly, or Elec saying that Oil and Maki aren't thinking about the bigger picture, him essentially undermining them, and you could say, Gas lighting them into complying. It will be here when doubt starts to creep into their minds, or at least Oil's mind, with him being like, I don't like the sound of that, boss. Is that really necessary? Are you sure? It'll be small fry thoughts at first, but I reckon it'll begin to snowball in time. We hope that if the Heeters are finally defeated after all this, that Oil and Maki will survive the outcome, have the chance to redeem themselves and forge their own path. It would be a real shame if all of them had to succumb, all thanks to Elec's heartless wishes. Gas, though, we sadly think is past the point of no return. He, despite having all this power and potential, is far too suggestible to think by himself. Something of which we'll elaborate on now, as we then believe that we will find out more about Gas and Bardock's battle 40 years ago. It was alluded to in Chapter 77 that Gas and Bardock indeed fought on planet Cerellian, after we cut away from the flashback since Monaito was understandably not around to witness that fight. Despite us then seeing the bit with Bardock and Guinea, oh well. Since we got this nugget of information, and we're going to be seeing the Heeters finding the second Dragon Ball in this upcoming chapter, I mean obviously we've seen that in Chapter 77 they found one of them, this will then be the time for Gas to possibly reflect on his past mistakes, trying to believe in himself for the upcoming rematch with Bardock's son. We will understand what happened 40 years ago, and why Gas lost to Bardock, as this is something he has brought up a few times prior to now, before we knew that what his problem was Bardock specifically. He mentioned this mistake long ago. Now that we know what that mistake was, or who it was involved with, it will now be a real big shame not to see it unfold from Gas's perspective. As a certain police girl once said, it's a matter of perspective, really. Like we mentioned, Gas is going to be the tragic chess piece in Elec's plan. He will be the sacrificial lamb to ensure that not only do they possess ultimate power within the universe, but they will be able to curb stomp Freeza, take out the Saiyans themselves, and then especially, and most of all, eliminate Granolah, who's been a thorn in Elec's side for decades. This has all started to become a bit personal in an otherwise business-orientated idea. It's actually very revealing. Elec is supposed to be driven by information. The whole Heeter organization is supposed to be. He's said so many times. But now, I feel that emotion is starting to get to him and clouding his judgment, and this will lead to his downfall. Oops. Number 4. Freeza will get wind about what the Heeters are up to. Now, okay, this one is a bit of a key blast in the dark. Since we mentioned that we might not even see Freeza in this saga, quite a few times at this point actually, I can understand why you might be a bit dubious about this. However, I feel that it's sometimes worth taking a punt and seeing what happens with our ideas. Depending on where things go, I suspect that word will start to get around the cosmos as to the movements of Goku and Vegeta. After all, these two hold a special place in Frieza's heart, and he would be very keen to see what happens with them, and why they might be traversing through space under his very nose. This is his playground. And after losing out the chance to capture Broly for his own ends, and actively staying out of Moro's affairs, which had something to do with the Saiyans, you can definitely say that Freeza has many fingers in space pies. He would be wanting to know what the monkeys are up to. And if he gets wind that they have been charged by one of his rival organizations to do something for them on a planet he had been involved with long ago, ooh, I suspect that he would want to know what was going on. Freeza would not stand idle. I'm not saying that he's going to immediately head on over there and go, what's all of this then? But he'll be watching, waiting, commiserating. to whoever loses. Again, it's not my most concrete guess, but sometimes I feel that it's worth speculating on things based on solid information from past arcs. Freeza didn't get where he is today and in prior iterations by sitting on the sidelines. I mean, see for yourself. At number 5, Vegeta will start to teach Granolah how to use his power. It's quite clear that Vegeta is trying to get through to Granolah and speak to him on some kind of level. He spent a couple of chapters trying to understand the bounty hunter, in mid-fight in fact, trying to reason with him in a way that Goku would be proud of. Only this time, there was nothing that the real Goku could do. It all had to come from Vegeta in the here and now, since he and Granolah's pasts are quite similar. He can see that rage and revenge, that they're driving the Cerellian to do stupid and rash things. And now, with the hunter beginning to calm down somewhat, he can start to get through in a more rational and calm setting. Well, I wonder how Vegeta's going to take the revelation that Granolah only got this power through wishing away his own lifespan. Oh, that's going to be awkward. I think Vegeta is actually going to be initially angry and horrified at this compromise with the dragon, but he will digest it and then be like, "Right, we don't have much time. If you're going to be in possession of this kind of power, then you should know how to use it." After all, Vegeta is incredibly smart, when he's not mid-battle climaxing. He is a tactician and knows how to extract the best out of people. Just look what he did with Kaba. We will start to see Granolah listening to Vegeta's words, and since he and the bounty hunter have a special relationship in that neither are afraid of the other, and their origin stories are somewhat identifiable and linked, the best person to get through to the Cerellian is the prince. Goku here needs to take a back seat to extract the best out of this situation to which we find ourselves in. At last! A story where Goku has to play second fiddle? Yes, please. And I like Goku. This is all about Vegeta here, and Granolah coming to terms with their lots in life. Neat! So these are our predictions we have in mind for Chapter 78. Come back next week to let me know whether I was right or not. And if you've got your own ideas and predictions, feel free to comment below. As I say every month, I both want and don't want to be right with this. I want to be thrown for a loop in a good way. To be surprised with what comes our way. That's the point of a good story. Keep you thinking, guessing, and wondering about what's gonna happen. If I ever got a 5 out of 5 ever in these predictions, last month was close with a 3.5 out of 5, then that would be sort of bad. I guessed the whole thing in that situation. I don't want that. Anyway, I'll see you lot in the next video, and I hope that you have a great day. Catch you later.